Hi guys, hey, what's up? So today we're going to be taking a look at a post analysis on Google. Now, I would have produced an analysis a couple days ago on Google, and that's what you're looking at here. You'll see the entire analysis and you see some profit here, right? I want to break down the analysis for you with all of the numbers and all of the drawings and everything. And I want to kind of show you what led me or what prompted me to even take these trades to begin with. So before I go further, I want you to understand that in order to do this, you have to be able to do this, right? You have to be able to understand what the market is attempting to do, right? Because your execution, which is this, has to follow your analysis, meaning you have to execute in a way that follows what you think is going to happen. You're not going to be confident enough to take trades if it is you don't understand what is likely to occur, right? So I want to break down now quickly the entire analysis. Now you will see some different colors, you'll see some tags, you'll see some drawings, and everything is numbered 1 through 8. 8 is the last number, 1 is the first one, obviously. And we're going to go step by step through all of them, right? And that's what will allow you to lead to this last piece here. So take it easy with me. Just listen, just relax, sit down, and we'll go through it briefly. So obviously we're looking at gold. Gold is a bullish market. And obviously in a bullish market, buyers would definitely be interested. I am 100% sure about that. If you disagree, then I don't know, sucks to suck, right? The reality is that gold has been buying forever, right? Gold has been buying forever, right? When you look at gold on the monthly time frame, that's all it's been doing, buying, right? And the reason why that is important is you have to think about it where the market will only buy if buyers are buying. That's only common sense. Now, what we're looking at here, the last buyer haven. What is important about this buyer haven? What is a buyer haven even? Buyer haven is essentially an area where traders would really be interested in buys in a big way, right? The reason why I call it a buyer haven, now this is not a term, this is not an actual term. This is just something that I'm seeing as something, right? The reason I call it a buyer haven is because I think that traders are finding comfort in buying this area. It's a haven to them. It's a heaven. You understand it? This feels really good to buy here, right? And that would be obvious because that would have some kind of support, or there would have been some type of support here, right? Now let's go to point number 2, which will be orange, and we have bearish momentum or bearish channel, and that will be denoted by these two yellow or orange lines here, right? In a bearish type fashion. Now, if anybody knows me, you know that I am a momentum-based trader. You know that I trade momentum and I need momentum in order to do anything. If I don't have momentum, I can't really trade, right? And I'm forced, I'm using this word, I'm forced to trade only when there's momentum because in my experience, I found that if I try to trade when there isn't momentum, we end up, in problems, right? So we have bearish momentum, and the fact that it's bearish suggested that it would go down to do something, right? And we'll get to that. So let's go to point number 3, buyer stop losses. Now, you see buyer stop losses denoted by this big kind of Z drawing here, right? I'll make it bigger so I can highlight it because I know that some people mightn't be seeing it too well. It's highlighted by this big Z area here, right? Where we're just looking at all of this entire area is just buyer stop losses, right? But why? Why would there be buyer stop losses here, right? Now we said that from point number 1 there was a buyer haven here, but why would there be stop losses all the way up here? So let's think. Let's go to point number 4. Current obvious buyer haven, which would be this gray or black zone here. And I'm sure you'd agree with me where you see buyers interested here, 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 and even here. If buyers are interested there, we know that obviously when you buy, you put your stop loss below your entry. So if your stop loss is below your entry, your stop loss could be anywhere beneath this level. And we're going to include the last buyer haven as well, right? So we have points number 1 and number 4 coinciding to create a big picture of buyer stop losses. And then we have point number 5, which would have been the possible move. Now let me zoom in a little bit so you can kind of get a better picture. So you can see just how close I was to being right. Now, you'd see that This is where I originally wanted it to go. This is where it got to at its lowest. Let me show you just how close I was. This is about 17 pips. That's crazy. That is crazy. It's about 17 pips, right? So, or 170 something points, right? But to have an analysis like this with such accuracy, yeah, that's crazy. But we'll come back to that. Let's get to point number 6. And that would have been from today. So the market moved from this blue point, just a little 16 or 17 pips off of this blue point in that direction, in the possible moves direction, and it moved up. And it moved up and it came and snuggled up right under the current obvious buyer haven. Now, there was an NFP event, an NFP, a non-farm payroll news event this morning. And then I had this point here, right? That would be seller interest level. And then 7, which would be seller analysis denoted by blue. Let me make this sticker as well so you can kind of get a better picture. This is what I thought that sellers would see. They would analyze and see that this is likely to occur. Interestingly enough, if you go and you look at my mines, just click on my profile and go and look at my mines, you will actually see I have proof where traders have been interested in selling right around this level. That is exactly why it had played out almost exactly the way that it did, right? And then I said point number 8, right? Point number 8 would be the purple one, which would be the revised possible move. Now, what is the revised possible move and why? Now, I'm saying that I believe that traders would have been interested in this last break and retest. You have price come up, touch, break, and go. Price would have been interested in getting rid of these traders and then going for buys. And I thought that would have happened for the NFP event itself. It just so happened that it didn't play out exactly for the NFP event, but it did start to buy. And interestingly enough, right when it started to buy is when I started to buy. And that's how we ended up right here. So I just wanted to give this a really, really brief rundown of why my thought process worked and works the way that it works, right? The reality of this entire thing, my friends, is you, like I said, you have to have an analysis and your execution align. If they don't, you're gonna have problems with your trading, right? So stay tuned for more. Subscribe, follow, you know the works. I don't know where I'm posting this yet, but you know the works. Have a good one. See you soon.